Hello, welcome to the ballet experiment. My quest for a higher demi-pointe is continuing. In this video, what I want to do is take a closer look at my feet in order to understand what may help or limit the height of my demi-pointe. And I'm going to be specifically looking at my arch and my instep. These are two ideas that come up a lot in ballet. And so I think they're pretty important. They may tell me something about the potential of my feet for a higher demi-pointe. So in the process, I'm going to do a few assessments. That's why I have this stuff here. I'll be using it in a moment, right? And I don't really know at this point what the results will be. For some of the assessments, I have an idea, and others, I really don't know because I haven't tried them before. So I'm going to be sharing my real reactions to the results with you. Yeah, a little bit scary, but no worries. Before I get into this though, I just want to say that I am not a therapist, a podiatrist, obviously. I'm not a teacher. I'm just a dance student exploring my feet, learning about them, and sharing anything that I think may be useful for myself or others, right? With that, let's get into it. I have a nice cup of tea here, as I often do. Today I have ginseng and green tea. And they say ginseng helps to keep people sharp. So I better take a good gulp of that. It may help me. Anyhow, yeah, maybe you want to get yourself a nice warm drink and let's talk about feet. Hello. All right, so let me explain the difference between the arch and the instep. So the arch is this curved area underneath your foot. Yeah, the area underneath is your arch. Your instep, on the other hand, that is the area on top of your foot. And it's the curve that appears when your foot points. So there are two things that are related, but they're not actually the same thing. And from what I understand, the arch contributes to the actual strength and stability of your demi-pointe and how lifted you actually are in demi-pointe. Where the instep, on the other hand, is more about how your feet look when they're pointed. It gives a curved look, and it can make your foot look more, like it can make your demi-pointe look higher. So comparing these two ideas, arch and instep, it seems to me that arch is actually more important for a high demi-pointe, because even if your instep is making your foot look flexible, you won't be able to get very high up onto demi-pointe unless you have a strong arch. And you won't be able to stay in your demi-pointe unless you have stability and strength in your arch, right? So even though instep is great for appearance, arch is what really gives the function. And so, yeah, I think it is actually more important. So what I'm going to do now is take a look at my arch, just sort of explore it a bit and see what it can do. So from my reading and my research, I understand that if the inside of your foot is lying flat on the ground, they would describe that as flat feet, a flat foot. But if there is space between the inside of your foot and the ground, you don't have flat feet. You may either have a normal arch or a high arch. Now, I am not able to put more than just the top of my finger through or into this space, okay? If I was able to get it way far in or straight through to the opposite side, or get an object of any kind to go straight through the bottom of my foot in a standing position, that would indicate that I have a high arch. But I neither have a high arch nor a flat foot. My arch is, from what I understand, my arch is normal, right? I have a normal arch. And I'll show you the opposite foot. This is the opposite foot. Okay, I can put the top of my finger in. And I know that if someone were to come here, they would also be able to put the top of their finger in. So that's my normal arch for you. You may have heard of this assessment. This is the water test, okay? So for this, you need water, which I have. And you need something like cardboard or paper. So I'm gonna make a print of my foot, my wet foot, my damp foot. Put it in the water first. Get it all wet. I don't want it to be too drippy, so I'm gonna like get some of that water off so that we get a real accurate, hopefully accurate print. Shake off some. Okay, that looks good. All right, let's try it. Oh, all right. That is my right foot. Let's do the left. Shake that baby off. That's my left foot. All right, so I mean, this is consistent with what I observed before. It is a normal arch. You can see that the outside of my foot is making contact with the floor. The inside of the foot is lifted. And Mimi wants to play too. So this final assessment for my arches is also more about observation than anything else. I'm just gonna look at the range of movement in my feet when I point them without supporting any weight. So I'm gonna take a look at how much my feet can bend, how much they can bend in a pointed position. All right, let's get in a bit closer here. And now I'm going to point as much as I can at my ankle and then extend all the way through my toes, okay? So my foot is fully pointed, not sickled, just straight. All right, so there are different ways that the foot can bend. It can bend right here at the ankle, and it can bend through the foot, okay? And so the range of movement can be limited by your joints and what your joints can naturally do. Some people are really bendy in their ankle, and their feet, because of that, can bend way over, right? Now, I don't know really whether to include that bend of the ankle joint in the definition of arch, but I'm gonna say not. I'm gonna say that is plantar flexion, and then the arch is the ability of the foot to bend over from the midpoint right down to the toes. And in my case, looking at it, I would say it's not bending very much, is it? It's not really bending over, you know. My ankles don't bend too much. and my foot isn't bending a lot. But we have a pretty straight line through my leg, straight through to my toes. Okay? So I think it's a good starting point. You know, it's been a while since I've looked at my arch like this. And to tell you the truth, I wish it was a little bit more curved than what I'm seeing here. But I believe that it's improved over the last few years. So that's good. All right, so let me look at the other foot now. Let me know in the comments if you have been able to improve your arch with training. Okay. That is what my feet are capable of in terms of flexibility, right? In this position without holding any weight. This idea of the ballet arch is more complicated than I thought it would be when I started this video. I have seen that there are a lot of different factors that go into the ballet arch. Yes, you could be born with high arches. We see that the anatomical arch of the foot can either give you a flat foot, a high arch, or a normal arch, like what I have, right? And there's not too much you can do about that. Well, maybe there's some things you can do about it, but a lot of it is genetic. However, there's more to the ballet arch than that. You know, there's the ability of your foot to bend over and how flexible your foot is in a pointed position. And this is something that, you know, you can work on perhaps and develop to a certain degree. And then there's the ability of your arch that is your pointed foot, to support your weight in a demi-pointe, which involves strength, and you can always train that. So there's a lot of factors that contribute to a high demi-pointe and a lot of ways to see the ballet arch, right? And yeah, so I think that is a bit encouraging. I hope that you'll find it encouraging yourself. Okay, so let's move on now quickly to the instep. The instep is the top of your foot in a pointed position. Yeah, that's what your instep is in ballet. And it's roughly between your ankle joint right here and where your toes begin, right here, right? So when you point your feet, this part of your foot can lift and curve, right? Making your foot look pretty, long, and curved. So I'm going to go ahead and point my foot now. All right. Pointing, 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 pointing. Okay, and let's see what we have. I see a very gentle curve from my ankle going upwards, a very gentle curve in the middle over here, like this, not dramatic at all, and then a very gentle curve going downwards from the toes. And so this is what my instep looks like. Yeah. You can let me know in the comments what you think, what kind of instep I have, whether it's just a average instep or a no instep. But I'm pretty sure that this is not a very pronounced instep from what I'm seeing. Maybe if the top of my feet were to curve over a little bit more, my toes were to curve over a little bit more, then it would emphasize this part of the foot and it would look more like a high instep. But I mean, I'm not sure how to assess an instep. But I have noted that it's possible to have more lift at the top of the foot, yeah, and a lower arch, or you can have less of a lift at the top of your foot and have a higher arch. So there are lots of different variations of arch and instep possible. And I just think that that is really interesting. How feet come in many different ways. Yeah, I mean, I wish I had had a beautiful instep myself, because that instep makes your feet look curved and long and pointed, and it's just a nice shape. But if you don't have a lot of instep, you can still have a great demi-pointe, because your arch is something that you can work on, and you can strengthen it and even increase flexibility to a degree, so that you're well supported on your feet in that position. This has been such an exploration of the world of feet. Arches and insteps, yes. And I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface of what there is to learn and explore where it comes to feet, and how they help you to create a high demi-pointe. And I find that really exciting, you know. There are so many factors that go into this high demi-pointe. You're born with a certain body structure and certain limitations, but there is so much to it that there is room for development, for building, for growth. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to explore where there is potential in my feet and build on it. Yeah. And yeah, join me and let us work towards a high demi-pointe, starting with what we actually have. With that, I'm going to leave you now. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you like exploring these types of ideas, then subscribe to know when I post something new, and join me on my mission. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again sometime soon. Bye-bye.